All right, Blue, let's look at Southern University. Now, you and I have been talking about Southern all year with Jim as we went through the season. Our initial thoughts were looking at that offensive line early in the year, right? Atrocious the way that play was. Couldn't get 100 yards, couldn't crack the century mark in the rushing game. And then it was like they figured it out around the Prairie View game, and after that, it seemed like, all right, you start to see things gel, and you start to see that O-line play get a little bit better. But one thing we didn't see get better was the quarterback position. You saw Noah Biden, you saw Xavier and T-Set, and you saw Jalen Woods, right? And I think that we can honestly say all three guys were given a fair chance at the starting quarterback position. Noah Biden, of course, started the season. Xavier and T-Set came in after a couple possessions in that Savannah State game. He starts the game against Jackson State in the third game of the season. He gets injured. Noah Biden comes back. Noah Biden leads Southern, comes back against Prairie View, right? Noah Biden in a position with Southern in that overtime against Texas Southern. So each quarterback seemed like they had their ups, their downs, because T-Set looked good against Alabama A&M and against Savannah State. The only issue that we saw from the quarterback position was the lack of consistency. Because then on the back end, we saw Jalen Woods step up against UAPB and against Grambling. And now we have Noah Biden and Xavier and T-Set in the transfer portal. Your thoughts are looking at those guys and what we've seen all year from them.
No, I'm with you on that, where I think each of the quarterbacks had their opportunities to win the job, right? And to be fair, let's just be honest, Noah could have solidified his spot as a starter. I mean, last year, throughout spring, the fall, like Noah had every opportunity, Perry. And I think when me and you talked during this season, we kind of knew his time in the Southern jersey was up, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't going to be the future. I think it was a conversation surrounding T-Set and Woods, like I talked about earlier. They're both supremely talented and both show potential in different ways. And it was only a matter of time before one of them transferred out, because there's only one guy who could start at quarterback, Perry. And we knew that one of those guys was going to have to make a decision to go be the guy elsewhere. Now, for me, I think with T-Set, he's so dynamic, so athletic. His upside is through the roof, but I think he thrives in a different sort of scheme than Southern Run, just because of his dual threat ability. So I do think he made the right decision to go find a scheme, find somewhere where he could maybe utilize his athleticism a bit more. I think Woods showed, Perry, and I've heard this from you. I've talked to BJ about it, two guys who I know are plugged into Southern. Woods, in my opinion, stabilized the offense more so than any of the other quarterbacks. And I think his ability to stand in the pocket, look confident, his decision-making, his arm, gave him an extremely high upside in the offense that Southern's going to run. And so I think Jalen Woods is going to be the guy moving forward for Southern. But also, too, it really does hurt to lose a guy like T-Set, whose upside is so high. And also, too, has the ability to step in and win you games as a starter if anything would have happened to Woods. So losing that depth, I think, is the biggest thing for Southern right now, because I think now the Jaguars only have two scholarship quarterbacks right now, Perry, on the roster. So it's going to be extremely important for Terrence Graves and Mark Frederick and his staff to find some depth at quarterback and bring some guys into this room to compete.
And, we're talking about the transfer portal. Let's look at a guy like Quay Davis, right? Seems to be a journeyman of college football, and he faded out this year for Southern. He made a play here and there and then ultimately faded out, but he is what we talk about the transfer portal. He seems to have been all over the SWAC, Blue.
Yeah, I mean, really interesting. So, to me, I think this is his time to transfer down, right? If you haven't done it in multiple different schools, I think it's time to find either a position change, a transfer down to maybe a D2 contender, something like that, Perry, because I don't think he's transferring up, and I just don't think there's anywhere in the SWAC for him to go right now, unless it's somewhere, like Valley, who has lost, I think, all the quarterbacks on their roster, if I'm not mistaken. Valley could use them potentially to come in and stabilize that position for a year before giving that job to a young guy.